Welcome to The Bucket List Show, the show with a focus on community, travel, housing, and local experiences here on the Treasure Coast and beyond, so you can fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. And now here's Tammy Crandell and Rebecca Denise.
Hello and welcome to the Bucket List Show. I'm Tammy Crandell with Journ Adventure Travel and Tours and Barron Real Estate, and I am here with my co-host again, Rebecca Denise from Harmony Homes, providing real estate services through Barron Real Estate as well as financial protection with a focus on property management. Wow, that's a mouthful of stuff,
we
right?
We got to condense that.
We got to find a way. I haven't come up with a great acronym.
I know, I've tried too, and I can't
to
find
smush
one.
it down. It just sounds ridiculous,
Everybody's
right?
just grabbed them already, so I got to figure it out.
Well, anyways, we're here because the intention of the Bucket List Show is to serve you so we can help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. Yeah. And what does that mean exactly for you and us here today? What we're going to do is we're going to focus and review our latest market updates for real estate in the Treasure Coast, and then take a virtual visit. We're going to round the curve, take a virtual visit to Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon. As we know, I know anyways, that's a bucket list for a lot of people. Like take a last minute trip or a few days out.
It's on my bucket list.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay, but we're going to focus. Yeah, we're going to check that off. But so what we're going to do with the first half of the show is we're going to, focus on real estate first. Real estate is hot in Florida. So it's not just hot weather here, but real estate is hot.
It is.
So some things have happened in the last week. It's been a busy week for Orlando.
It is.
Yeah. So most recently, the Realtors Convention was held in Orlando, and they had a special guest for their town hall. Can you tell me who that was? Who was it?
So there was over 700 realtors and a bunch of affiliates, but Governor Ron DeSantis came, and he spoke to the agents. So, that is big when he's busy and it's a big state, but for him to give the focus to the realtors was definitely appreciated.
Of course.
And he had a lot of good things to share that will impact all of us that live here in Florida. And that's where it makes sense for us to share it. And it was all good information.
Oh, good. So, what was the focus that predominantly was since 2020? What did he have specifically to share at that town hall?
So a lot of things have changed. So the first thing is they did the Hometown Heroes. So they allocated $100 million to that program, and it's a finance program. And the idea is that, they're trying to close that gap for affordable housing. But it goes out to our heroes. So it could be our nurses, our ambulance drivers, doctors, a CNA. So
veterans.
Okay. So the idea of the program is to promote home ownership. A couple weeks back, we did talk about that on our show. So there's more information out there if they wanted to see that. But one of the messages that he did share is hopefully what we'll see moving forward for Florida on the ballot is that program will continue. And then even he discussed possible some, tax relief on property.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
A great way to continually thank the veterans and thank those heroes, those people who worked so hard over the last couple of years. It's been a rough couple of years for a lot of people.
Especially.
Yeah.
And that's where the program stems for. So, the idea is we want the people that, serve our community to live in our community. And that's where we want to make sure that affordability gap is shrunk. And that's where the program is. And this is a great program. Obviously, it could piggyback with the VA program or FHA. But it's a great program. And, it tells us that, he's thinking about it, collectively. The market is surging in Florida and obviously all over United States. And there's still a lot of people moving.
Right.
But to recognize, the importance of the real estate market in Florida, that's important for everybody.
Well, with that focus in mind and more, how does this migrate really in dollars to our nation? What's the benefit?
So with the people since 2020, and that's continuing, for 2 years in a row, we've had huge migration to Florida. But in dollars, what it does, it brings $20 billion, to the state of Florida.
That's huge.
It is huge. And that goes back to our programs that we could offer, our schools that are being built, things that are being revitalized. We talked a little bit on the show before about Fort Pierce. So for that to come to Florida, that really is big. And our housing, we have huge amount of new construction still. And now there is ready to move in properties. So we're seeing that the time on market is a little bit longer. So that kind of shifts, that it gives a little bit more of a buyer's edge and a little bit more for the agents to accept, the different type programs.
Sure.
So it just opens that door for home ownership.
Yeah. And, not that I'm biased by any means, but, as a realtor, the two of us, realtors play a large role in the economy throughout the state of Florida. And so how does that, what we're talking about today, how does that translate to our changes here? And what really is the goal?
So the real estate market in general, either here or across the nation, it does drive the market. So if we have a healthy real estate market, then that's where you're going to see where it impacts the whole economy. And I know people don't necessarily like that rates went up, and they probably will teeter some more, but that's to balance it out. And then that's where you see the little bit of shift that, homes are on market just a little bit longer, and that gives the option for buyers to come in. And the idea is that we do want to exhaust that $100 million that was allocated for that program, and hopefully it will continue being refunded. But that's how you're going to keep our communities and our towns and our cities in Florida viable. We want that growth. And that's where you see new companies are coming in, where we see the revitalization, the hotel in Fort Pierce. And there's so much more going on. But we do need that to be healthy.
Well, and I love that good, healthy entrepreneurial spirit that we have here across the board. I mean, we are a very transient state. I'm a native Floridian. And I love the state of Florida. And we do know that not only does tourism, but, having people come from all walks of life here to the state of Florida really adds to the growth of our economy here. So if we were to look at some current stats, I think we've got some numbers up for July for Port St. Lucie. What do our sales look like for Port St. Lucie? So
last year, we closed sales for July. In 2021, there was 461. Right now, we're at 360. But what we've seen the shift in is the market value. So the average median sale was 325, and now we're seeing that at 420. So that's where we're seeing that the market did grow. It is still viable. It's busy, and people are buying homes. It could be an investment property. It could be a second home, somewhere where they're trying to get that passive income. And, that's where it ties in, for you on the travel side, that stay vacation. But the idea is that the market is healthy. And, we're still seeing a lot of stuff, coming on the market with listings, and especially the new construction.
Oh, sure.
And with the little bit of shift with the interest rates and the prices, you are seeing some of the local builders or communities, given rate incentives or credit incentives. And that's where, we could help, so we could try to narrow that down and help you find what you're looking for.
Well, and that's where, it helps. I've said across the board that you want to use people who are experienced in what they do. You and I certainly bring that to the table with the experience we've had, not just in properties itself, but in the lending experience that we have, so we can understand those contracts and do those things. But let's talk a little bit about pending home sales. How do we compare across the nation? I mean, if we were to compare ourselves in the state of Florida with other states.
So, well, if we look at I think I gave something on that. So, if you look at the Northeast, I mean, they're still at a 79% on the sales. It's going down not even 2%. And we're seeing that a little bit consistently across the country. If you look at the west side, that's actually up 2%. And then if you look at Florida, we're just down a little bit, 1%. So the sales for July, are still at a 90% sale rate. So we're still seeing stuff busy because, again, I still think that, people are just they're still moving. They're trying to, reinvent their life, get back to everything after the pandemic. And it is a new norm. So,
well, and home ownership really is part of the American dream.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there are people out there that if they've been sitting on the fence and they've been thinking, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? If you've got that money set aside, I mean, now really is the time, to make that decision, especially if you're going to need some lending at any point, because you want to do that before the rates get to a point where it makes it unaffordable for you to do it.
Right. And, we talked about that too. The good thing, if the rate looks a little high, we have ways that we could help with the lender credit or buy that rate down.
Right.
And then some of these programs may have incentive. But yeah, if you haven't bought or you think that you want to start that conversation, that's where they could call us. We could help them map it out. And if it's 6 months or a year, we're okay with that. That's the whole point of helping it.
Absolutely.
And I do think home ownership is on everyone's bucket list. And it could be because you want to do an Airbnb, or maybe you want that investment property, or you want that true summer vacation home that you could come and, create memories. And people are doing that here all over Florida.
Well, and some people are, beyond that. And, it's about building legacy.
No, it is.
About building a legacy, not just for yourself. So whether you have investment property that you're, putting that secondary home into, it could be something that you're doing for your children for later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's definitely a part of what we're doing.
We had talked, so for this year, the average price in St. Lucie County is around $420.
Right.
So if we look at Maine, so York County in Maine is $365.
Right.
And, people are looking to buy a second home in Maine, or maybe it's here. But then if we look at Las Vegas, in that county, it's $444. So, it's gone up across the board, all across, United States. But it shows you that if we're at $420, Maine is pretty relative and Las Vegas. So that's another reason why they're shifting. It may not be comparable to some markets, on the water on the West Coast, or, New York City, or even on the East Coast here. But, at least on an average, it makes it attainable.
Well, and Florida is still a hot market. And, I think that's, what is important for people to understand. So whether you're wanting to purchase a home for the first time, purchase a secondary home, as you mentioned earlier, or wanting to invest, now would probably be the time to do that.
Yeah. And, even if people are, waited and they weren't sure if they wanted to sell, I mean, it's still a great time to sell because everyone is moving. And that's why you're seeing the new construction, so viable. I mean, even if we just look at Vero Beach, they have homes that are ready to move in by Vero Lake Estates. I mean, a 3-2 would cost on average $268,000. So that is still relative for a family, to move in on this part of the Treasure Coast.
So the real important part is that, homeownership is not just a dream. It is attainable for many people, and there are so many different viable programs to participate in. So, we want to be able to share more of that with you. So, so let us know.
Absolutely.
Click and subscribe on our YouTube channel, The Bucket List Show. And just make sure that you follow us. And if you've got suggestions, comments, we are certainly wide open to that. Right now, we're going to take a quick break for about 2 minutes. But we have a lot more to talk about when we return. When we do get back, and remember I told you we're going to make that curve. Yep. We're going to visit Las Vegas virtually and the Grand Canyon. Just another way for us to help you fill your bucket.
It's time to call Easy Brew Coffee and Bottled Water Service and learn just how much you can save and how convenient it is to have your coffee and bottled water delivered right to your home or office. In addition to water coolers, Easy Brew offers individual bottles of water in 8 or 16-ounce bottles. No more lugging it home or dragging it into the office. Serving the Treasure Coast for over 2 decades, 2 letters, 1 simple name. Easy for Easy Brew. Visit e-zbrew.com or call 800-792-3285. Easy Brew.
You can trust Sandpiper Pest Control, serving Indian River, St. Lucie, and Brevard. Certified by the state of Florida to treat homes, lawns, and termites. Fully licensed and insured. Priced right, effective, and friendly.
Hi, this is Joel, the owner of Sandpiper Pest Control. Sandpiper can solve your pest issues. No contracts to sign, just results.
Call for a free estimate, 772-589-0204. Sandpiper Pest Control, a member of the iTex trading community. Your iTex dollars are welcome.
Waves Auto Spa, known as Vero's fastest and finest. A car wash known for their quality equipment and attention to detail by a friendly and courteous staff. Waves offers soft cloth technology, and a top-notch detail center will help preserve the value of your car. Waves now offers windshield chip repair, and in most cases, it doesn't cost you a dime. Spend less time and get a better quality experience for you and your car at Waves Auto Spa, US 1 Vero Beach, across from Kmart Plaza. Open 7 days a week.
ITEX, or International Trade Exchange, is the largest barter company in the world, with over 25,000 members offering goods and services. We're a marketing company that brings you new business in the way of trade, with over 200 local members enjoying the benefits of ITEX, like lawyers, doctors, plumbers, media, printing, and more.
Hi, this is Liz Bowler. Contact me and find out why barter through ITEX has been smarter for over 30 years. 772-532-1881. Visit itex.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Rebecca from the Bucket List Show. We spoke a little bit earlier about some stats, and we're going to do the curve that Tammy talked about. I had mentioned what Las Vegas housing prices are, right around an average of $444. And today, Tammy's going to share to us how we would take a getaway trip from Florida or anywheres to Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon.
Oh.
So, Tammy, you took a trip last year to Las Vegas, right?
I did. We had so much fun. There were actually 8 of us ladies that went. We were celebrating my niece,
Nice.
which was fun, and because she was going off to college. So we took this wonderful trip out there together. Just as a matter of information, we were able to get a direct flight out of Miami. I know that's not everybody's favorite airport to fly out of. But the fact that it is direct, when you're taking a short hop for a few days, it really is the best way to go. So you're not on the plane forever.
Yep.
You get there direct and get there fast.
Quick and easy.
Yes.
Where did you stay in Las Vegas?
We actually stayed at the Paris, Las Vegas. So that was a ton of fun. It's fully decorated inside. I mean, everywhere you go, really has, obviously the casinos are everywhere. Shows are everywhere. But at the Paris, Las Vegas, they have all these wonderful themed hotels in the area. And we chose to stay there, because my niece is a fan of Paris, France. And of course, with all the COVID-y things that were going on, that was not an option. So we did the next best thing, and we stayed in Paris, Las Vegas.
Nice, nice. So you just mentioned you went last year, and you talked a little bit about COVID. So how did you manage to go there during COVID, and, what were the safety protocols?
Well, I mean, at that time, there were still masking requirements in place. Those things on planes have been lifted. So that's a difference between what you would be subjected to today.
Right.
All your standard, TSA clearance things they're going to be doing at the airport. But you don't have to, mask on planes today. And, and the same thing with the hotels. I mean, surprisingly, when we visited Las Vegas last year, the masking, there were signs everywhere that alluded to masking, but it wasn't necessarily mandatory.
Oh.
So it was optional. And they just gave you all the warnings of your, social distancing, hand washing, all of those typical things that you were doing. But those things pretty much are no more. It was almost non-existent back then. And that was last July.
Well, I know when I flew to Connecticut a couple months ago, I did have to wear my mask, but it may have been the airline's choice. So, so did you win any money in Las Vegas?
I personally, I am not a gambler.
anybody in the
It's
group?
the old banker in me.
Yeah, I know, right? You don't want to give your money away.
Yes,
I get it.
I have a hard time partying with my dollars, but unless I'm investing.
Yeah.
But there were members of us. Nobody that went home a huge winner. But at the same time, they got to enjoy the casino while we were there.
Oh, good.
My niece is not, wasn't necessarily old enough to do that. But at the same time, we did get to enjoy some of the eateries that are out there that we don't have here in our area in Florida, as well as, some of, the show that we saw while we were out there. We got to see a lot of Vegas, the different, places. And like we went to Wahlburgers. Of course, go to Wahlburgers as women who follow New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
When we were young, we had to make sure that we got a picture looking like we were hanging with the Wahlbergs,
That was nice.
And so that was a lot of fun. There are some insights to provide to people, for people who maybe went to Vegas 15, 20 years ago, it used to be that you would go and you'd gamble yourself away and, the food was extremely cheap. That is not necessarily the case anymore. I'm not saying that there aren't hotels that will comp people who
Right.
gamble heavily and, provide them with meal tickets and that sort of thing. And they do have some buffets that you can partake in. But food can be quite pricey. So that's something that people need to make sure that they plan for. You're not going to hop to Vegas for $500 and then not have to spend an additional $5 possibly. Right. So, you got to prepare for a trip like that. They always make a practice, and I didn't share this with you earlier, but, we took for transportation from the airport, we actually took like a big, an SUV style vehicle that we could all like squeeze into and see each other, almost like a limousine in a sense. And we did that. And of course, they always make an alcohol stop, at the liquor store. So, so we did make that stop and pick up some snacks and things that we could keep back in the room when we were back there. And then, of course, you've always got to see what are some little things that I can pick up and take home to the family.
The shows and obviously, since you're a travel agent, you were able to map that out for the group.
I was. And, that was a lot of fun.
So for me, I wouldn't even know to pick, the Paris, Las Vegas. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
And it was, it was very reasonably priced. And fun inside. I mean, most of the hotels are built that way. There's lots of things to see. I know Treasure Island has a ship that's on the outside. They do some sort of thing. Red Frogs is there. So you have other eateries outside of the hotel you're staying in. But lots of places to choose to eat from. Lots of different shows. We went to Extravaganza, which was the Vegas Extravaganza. So we had showgirls and a chef spinning tops and things like that.
Perfect. So real quickly, we're getting to tell us a little bit about Grand Canyon.
Oh, the Grand Canyon was beautiful. Absolutely stunning. You haven't had the opportunity to visit the Grand Canyon. That's just a short drive away, so you can get to see what's out there. Certainly would love to visit with that space as well.
Okay. I would love to take a tour there, so it's on
absolutely.
my list too.
It is just immense. Your mouth just gapes open for the first time.
You got to see it, I think. Obviously, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, God's country.
I won't be one of the people hanging off a rock taking a picture. But
no, not me either.
So that'll go. So we are getting towards the end. So Tammy, how would people contact you to share your info?
Yeah, if you are interested in speaking with me, the best number to reach me is 772-579-9536. That's my cell. And, for Journey Venture or for Barron. And then what about you, Ms. Rebecca?
So you could contact me at my 203-482-7297 number. And both of us are available. And thank you to all of our listeners, and be kind, everybody.
Absolutely.